Hayes Brakes, they make pretty much all the brakes on your snowmobiles, sent us this cool thing. It's called the Trail Track System. Bolts up to your Polaris snowmobile. It's kind of like an anti-lock braking system for your sled, if you will. We're going to install it for them, but first we need a sled to do it on. We're going to get a Polaris Rush from Black's Corners Motorsports here in Carleton Place. And I'm just going to bring it in, show them this little package, what all comes in the kit. And then we're going to go back to the shop and install it. Let's go inside and see Steve. Everybody remembers Steve from our Polaris RZR 900 video. He's a good guy, always likes to help out. There he is.
About time.
How you doing?
Not bad.
Good. So I told you about this system.
Yep.
It's new to me. It'll be new to you.
Okay.
It's new to everybody. That's it.
What kind of stuff?
So basically, you know, I looked at it. They say it's about an hour install. The old part comes off. This part goes on. There's a little pickup that goes on your drive shaft.
Okay.
Senses the track slipping or whatever,
Yeah.
however that works. A little bit of a wiring harness. It's a plug and play. Just plugs right into your thing, and it's got its own brain.
God, we could always use one of those.
I could use an extra one of these. I hate to tell you where you got to plug this in, though. So that's it. I mean, it comes right from the guys who make the brakes that are on your snowmobile right now.
Okay.
So I'm here to steal a Polaris Rush for a few hours.
I can do that.
You can do that for us? All right. Right, cool. Yeah, we'll do it. We're going to shoot a video, and
Okay.
it's supposed to take an hour to install.
Sounds good to me.
So that means 2 hours for me.
There you go.
All right?
Gotta take time.
Yeah. Let's go check out this machine.
Yeah.
Have you been riding this? Is it all studded up and no studs?
No stops.
Okay.
Bone stock.
Bone stock. Well, that's good. That's the way we like it, actually. There we go. So how many miles on this, or clicks?
1,500. So they've been driving it.
Right on, they had. That's good. Beautiful. That's going to be good. Yeah, you don't run scratchers on your sleds.
Hey?
You got to run scratchers on your sleds.
We haven't had to this winter.
No.
This is the first year we've had a demo in years.
Really? Wow.
Next year I think it'll have to be an 800S switchback.
Yeah.
New body, new chassis.
I guess, yeah, with that new chassis that's come out, right? I'm just gonna get geared up, take this out for a ride, see what it's like before, and check it out afterwards. Hey everybody, welcome back to PowerModz. As usual, we get to show you some pretty cool products, and this is one that I'm very excited to try. This is the Hayes Trail Track. It's kind of like an anti-lock braking system for your snowmobile. Now, if you don't know who Hayes is, if you own a Polaris, they build the brakes for them all. Whenever you look under the hood, you look at a component of your braking system for your Polaris. It's made by Hayes. So this isn't an aftermarket company. This is the company who builds them. Now, they don't really call it an ABS system, an anti-lock braking system. They call it a controlled braking system. So it's going to do a few things for you. It's going to lead to less fishtailing, more control, adds about 5 pounds to your sled, but you know what? It's a performance gain as far as I'm concerned. Now, as you can see in the video, a normal sled locks up very easily. The track will lock up, start fishtailing. If it's an icy condition, studded or not, you're going to start to lose that back end. Accelerating, you're going to lose it, and especially when you're braking, and that's really when you lose your control. Now, the advantages of this system, very cool. Less fishtailing, better control, and when you're driving your sled, just think about it. If you're on an icy condition, or even on a trail for that matter, and you want to lock them up, or you want to slow down, you hit the brake, it locks up. Imagine what happens to your clutch sheaves. They go into a position where everything just locks up, goes back to its normal resting position. But in this case, with this braking system, because it's like an anti-lock braking, or controlled as they say, your clutches are going to be ready to rock and roll again. So you're going to have a better throttle response. So it's pretty cool. We're going to install this. Under normal circumstances, this kit takes about an hour to install, and honestly, it's a very simple system. You remove your complete braking system out of your sled. You get this high performance brake, which is actually better than what comes on it. Everything is ready to go. It's got its own brain. It's got a little speed sensor that hooks up to your axle shaft. It's got all the wiring you need. It's all plug and play. The only thing you have to do as far as cutting goes is just cut a little position in your dash to this little switch right here. And this will either turn your braking system on or off. So, you know what, for some reason, if you want to turn it off, you can just do that. Then you just go back to your normal hydraulic braking. So we're going to install this, and then we're going to take it out and try it. I rode that sled pretty hard a little earlier, that Polaris 800 Indy, and the conditions are actually very good for testing it because it's horrible driving right now. Ice everywhere, a freezing spell came in, stiffened everything up really badly, so man, we couldn't have picked a better time to do it. So let's get her done. You're going to want a nice clean work area, which we always don't have here, but we're rocking and rolling in the shop. We always have something going on. We keep busy. So it's not the cleanest, but we make do, right? So, you have to remove these little plastic clips that hold this part of the fender in. I usually do this. These are the same that are on the Razor. They actually come out very easily. One of these, but don't lose them. Actually, in the Razor, the Polaris Razor, they give you a bunch of extras because they know you're going to lose them. Harness. I've never been under the hood of one of these, so this is going to be fun. It's such a nice new sled. It goes pretty good too. Where are you? Right there. Now we need to remove this belt and the clutch. See how much that floats? Everybody's floating their clutches today. Very easy to get that belt off. Love these team clutches. There you. Yep. How's that belt doing? Belt is perfect. Those. Don't want to lose that. Steve will get all mad at me. Well, you know what? I need to take that side panel off, don't I? There we go. How's that clutch look? Good. It's only 1,500 kilometers on this sled. That's nice and good. Make sure you don't lose these stacks of washers. They come off. Sometimes they get stuck on the back of the clutch here, and you don't want to do that. So the tension is off the track. ground pressure. You need to loosen that track off and take the tension off the track because we need to get into the speedo sensor. There we go. You just need to loosen that jam nut off. I'm not going to back it off too far because that's generally where I want it to go back. Same for this side. There we go. My track's actually pretty loose as it is. And just do one of these. We have to undo this here. There we go. That's good and loose. You got to pull this old speedo sensor cap off here. You're going to replace this with a new one. And when you get rid of these old nuts, you need to replace them with new ones because they are nylock. And after one application, they're more or less done. Tells you what tools you're going to need. Doesn't say anything about a universal, but I'm just finding that this is working very easy for me. I just loosen them all up. Wear your safety glasses, especially when you're using these little universals. These things have a tendency when they're like that to just go flying through the air. And it's not a cool thing if they land in your eyes. Make sure you get every nut because you don't want it rolling around inside your clutch housing there. Now, pull off your old speedo sensor. I don't think that's the right size. That's it. There we go. And you'll notice for this, I'm even using the instructions. Now we're going to install this new sender cap. We use the old sender, just simply screws into place using the old Torx headed screw here. I'm just going to torque this down to 30 inch-pounds. See if I can get on there. Oh, that's it. Now they also supply this new sender. Put that into place. Use the supplied Torx bolt here. And that one's different size. 30 inch-pounds. Now this is going to be clocked a little bit differently than when it came off. It's going to be pointing a different way. When you put it on, you see the sensors are sticking through. This is your pickup here on the end of the shaft. You want to make sure you don't jam these sensors into that pickup. So you've got to square it around until you get it right. Okay, you're going to have to watch out there for a sec, Simon. It'll be a little tricky. Now the important part there was to make sure that you didn't damage those speedo sensors, but they're pretty resilient. So I'm sure we did just fine. Loosely place these into position, just for now. And that'll hold everything where they need to go. That top one we're going to leave. I'll show you why here in a second. Now use this original clamp that came with your system. It's going to go on the top bolt there, and this one, supplied with the kit, goes on there as well. Squish that. There. That's how you want those two wires running. It's going to be your new sender. Make sure it's not pinched. Looks good. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. tight in here. Okay, moving on. Now, bring that track back to where it was. And just tighten up your locking nuts. There we go. Perfect. So we've installed the second speed sensor, and all we're going to do is we're just going to attach this wire to the existing wire and fasten it all the way up, just so nothing comes loose along the way. It's pretty cool because you just route it the same way. Easy. And there are lots of supplied fasteners, so no shortage. I'm just going to push it in beside it. You don't want it coming in contact with any sharp edges, just like any other piece of wiring. Install our clutch. Make sure we use the proper amount of spacers. I just move the belt when the sheaves start to come together. Just sort of lifts it up a little bit. See that belt coming up on there? There. Pretty much where it has to go. But the track is in the air, so it's pretty easy to get it back to where it's supposed to be. Loose. Go. Now's the fun part. We get to start taking off this old brake system. All right, so an important thing to take note of. The master cylinder is located right above the air intake, and go figure, the screws can easily fall down in there. That's not in the instruction manual, but you might want to cover this over with something. Like a rag. There. That wouldn't have been fun. Okay. Where do you go, little fella? Okay. That's done. We got to get this caliper off. Steve must have a lot of faith in old Louie at PowerModz. Let me do this. Have some new cool things to show you guys from Black's Corners as well. I've got that new Polaris Ace. We're going to take that for a run. Finally get to do some running with that Polaris 1000 XP as well. Now the original hose or brake line was routed through a part of the frame here, and I wasn't able to pull, the master or the caliper through, so I had to disconnect it. The new one we're going to route a little differently. I don't know if it was supposed to be like that at the factory, but according to the instructions, we shouldn't have had to do that. Now it's time to install this new brake setup, and the first thing we have to do is install this caliper. Now, this seemed really tight at first. There was a little bit of pressure on those pads. Maybe in shipping the handle got squeezed a little bit, and then put a little bit of pressure on the caliper or on the pads, so it was hard to go on around that rotor. All I did was I just put a little pry tool in and loosened them up a little bit. That was it. And like everything else, torque it up. All right, so I'll put this through here, I figure. This here, right there. Oh, that's gonna go right in there. See how that's gonna work. Okay. I use these new bolts that Hayes supplies with the Trail Track kit. Start this through here. Tidy this all up. Make it look like we were never, ever here. So nobody knows. So now we just follow all the routing of these nines and cables, and wires. Make it look like we've never been here before. And that was a factory Polaris install. How cool is this? Time to reinstall these ties. I don't know if you guys have ever seen me do such clean kind of wiring and tidiness before. Look at that. Looks factory. So right now at this point, this is just going to act like your normal braking on your sled. You want to pump this about 5 times to take all the air out of the system. There you go. So now we have to do a couple more things to make this baby work just right. Now it's time to install our switch. Before you start poking holes in anything and cutting things, you got to make sure there's nothing in behind here. I looked in behind and it's free and clear of any wiring and anything that's pretty important. And all you're going to do is you're going to mark this out. Now I would use a better marker if I had one, but the shop's a mess. I do what I can. Take a 1/4-inch drill bit and don't plunge it in. Just gently drill it. Oops. It will plunge itself. I'm just using a sharp X-Acto knife. It actually works very well. You can score it a couple of times, or if the plastic is soft enough for you, you can just slowly cut it through. If you trace a line first, it'll guide it as it goes. You won't make a mess of it. You want to make sure you're better to err on the side of small than big when you're cutting a switch hole. So hopefully, where'd you put the switch? Over here? Yeah, right here. If you cut it too big, then you're in trouble. But they do supply some tape to make it a little smaller if you over gouge it or cut it a little too big. Nice clean cut looking bezel here. Install our switch and plate through it. There. Now you got to disconnect your power because now we're messing with the computer. And when you're playing with the computer, you don't want anything arcing or shorting out on you because you're going to hurt something and it's going to cost you money. So you don't want that to happen. So just disconnect the power and remove the fuse as well. Now it's time to connect the ECU that comes with the brake system. You got to hook the wires up first because by the time you stuff it down in here, it's going to be a little tricky to actually get them on. And what you need to do is, this has dual-sided tape on it, you need to get it down and lock it or adhere it to the fuel tank. Peel this tape off. All right, so let's slip this down in here. I could really use my son for this, but actually, you know what? There's a lot of room in here. I can get my hand in here. And it doesn't have to be completely buried inside the sled. to be put into location. Now here is the pickup. This is the pickup that we put on the axle shaft earlier. You gotta connect that. It's connected. Now we have to basically start connecting wires. We're getting close. A lot of these wires are actually just pigtails, more or less. So these connect right into your system. Not like you have to do any cutting and splicing. Let me see. You don't have to go to anything. You go into, where do you go? Oh, I see. This goes into the actuator. I would call it the hydraulic actuator. Right there. This came off the hood. These, it's a relay. Now this is the wiring harness that goes up to our switch. And this is the plug that goes into basically our hood. So we're gonna just connect these fairly close together so that when you release your hood or you need to take it off, these two are gonna just be nice and side by side, and they come out at the same time. So they basically thought of everything when they put this kit together. And you know what, that's some pretty high quality wire harness right there. Tidy all these up. Now don't forget to take your fuse out of the wiring harness that comes with the brake system. Now this, I'm going to route down behind this right here. This is the power to the system. But I don't want it coming in contact with the pull start. Not that it's used because it's an electric start sled, but it might be used at some point. Right, now it's time to hook up your power. Right on. That's it. A couple more of these wire little tie downs here. Cannot wait to try this out. Clean up these wires. The wire harness looks nice and tight actually. Oops. Want to make sure everything is away from that. That's it. I just have to put it back together. Go ahead and test this out. All right, I've had a good chance to check out the Hayes trail track system. They wanted my honest opinion on how it worked. You know, that's why they sent it to me. That's why I installed it, tried it on the snowmobile. I let some other people try it as well so they could give me their feedback and their feelings on it. And I had a pretty good idea what it was they were going to tell me. So I'm going to pass on this information to you. Now, the trail track system, controlled braking system, is kind of like your anti-lock brakes, right? It definitely has a place. If you're out and you're a seasoned rider, you're having some fun, you're going to notice that you can't really get it to lock up to do you know, some silly things that you might want to do with a snowmobile. But as the name implies, it's trail track. If you're cruising down the trail and you're a seasoned rider or not, and you need emergency braking, you need to use your brakes, that braking system is going to
be much better than what you're used to. It's going to be an improved system. It's going to give you more safer and effective platform for braking. You know what? You can't really beat that. You know, seasoned rider or not, like I say. No matter how seasoned you are as a rider, you could have 20, 30 years under your belt. When you're ripping down the trail and you have somebody coming towards you at 60 miles an hour, if they're not a seasoned rider, you know, you might want them to have that trail track system on their sled, or you might want it on yours as well. I mean, I've had a lot of friends hurt quite badly on the trail just because of that. One other thing, now currently this is for a Polaris model. I don't know if they have this for others, but who knows. This is kind of maybe a test bed for them, or you know, they want to see how this reacts, what the feedback is from the field. Now, if you want to play around, you can always flip that switch. You can turn it off. If you have somebody coming to borrow your sled that hasn't really ridden very much before, you want to make sure that they use that trail track system. I see an application for it, definitely. Perhaps there are insurance implications as well, maybe lower rates once insurance companies figure out that this is a better thing for trail riding. Maybe there's an implication for mountain riders. You know, when you're flying down the mountain after a big long haul, maybe it's going to improve your braking going down the hill as well. You'd notice that it's kind of like an import vehicle. When you step on the anti-lock brakes, your pedal will kind of pulse. That's exactly what the brake lever does when you use that. And one other thing I like about it actually is that when you do hammer the brakes and it goes into its controlled braking, when you punch the throttle again, you don't get that hard clutch engagement because of the way that it's set up. And the clutches are just ready to rock. So it seems like it has better throttle response after hard braking. It's very nice. Would I use it? Yes, I would. I would use that in a trail atmosphere or a trail kind of situation. I would use it giving it to my friends. My wife doesn't ride very much. I would definitely let her use that. A new rider buying a snowmobile for many, many thousands of dollars, I would highly recommend that this kit gets installed. Anything that really improves safety and control when you're driving your snowmobile is a good thing. It's good for everybody. It's good for you and me and everybody in the industry. There are a lot of incidents recently when we see them in the newspaper during the season. Trees, hitting other snowmobilers, all kinds of accidents. And anything that's going to reduce that, that's a good thing. I have to thank Hayes Brakes for sending me that trail track system. Very nice to use and install, very easy actually, you know, about an hour long. And I love working with companies like that. I gotta thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check me out on Facebook. I have some cool giveaways coming up, and check out the other projects we got coming up. I'm gonna go pick up a Polaris IQR next week. I have a 2015 RS Skidoo coming in. I just bought the RX-1. I've got some other cool things on the go, so you guys aren't gonna wanna miss this.